let's go, let's go.
It's only been about a week since my last prediction video, but already we're back at it, because Jeffrey Sabre has been keeping busy, confusing us to the core, with more and more teasers daily, and the most recent teaser possibly revealing the brand new coaster coming to Fiesta, Texas in 2024, and with lots of wild theories spreading around the internet, and everyone being extremely confused on what's coming. In today's video, we're going to break down the most recent teasers, and see what's coming to Fiesta, Texas in 2024. But before we get into the video, if you're new here, welcome to the channel for all those thrill seekers. On JV Thrills, make all sorts of content related to theme parks and thrill rides. No matter where it's located or what type of attraction, if it's a thrill, it's on this channel. And specifically for those Texas roller coaster enthusiasts, this is your source for Texas theme park news. So be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell to know when new videos come out on my channel, especially if you don't want to miss the reveal of Fiesta Texas newest edition. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into today's video. So I gotta say, compared to the last year's Jeffrey Sabre teased new attractions, this year feels like it has the most amount of teasers. I mean, at the point of making this video, he currently has 15 teasers, and they're all highly confusing, essentially proving the point that next year will be a big year for Fiesta Texas. And while we didn't really expect much, it's obvious Jeffrey and his team are cooking up something amazing. So what is Fiesta Texas getting next year? Well, let's start right where we left off, which for those who don't know, was the rumor that Fiesta Texas will be losing Batman the Ride, the SNS 40 free spin, and receiving Harley Quinn from over Texas. As stated before, this rumor came out of nowhere, but based on looking at the clues again, it's very possible that Batman is hinted to leave the park. And for more information on that, you gotta check out the last video. But long story short, I still think it's very likely Batman is leaving, but some things have changed from last time. The original rumor suggested that Batman the Ride will be going to Frontier City, while Harley Quinn from over Texas would come to Fiesta Texas as a new attraction. But I didn't believe it for two reasons. Harley Quinn is a technical nightmare, meaning we're getting a hand-me-down Fiesta Texas, and it's an attraction that would be very problematic for the park, and honestly not a good investment. Yes, giving Batman to Frontier City is a good idea, considering they need a new coaster, but receiving Harley Quinn is such an unfair trade, which is why it's highly unlikely they would get Harley Quinn. Luckily, with new news coming out, still not official and purely speculation though, Harley Quinn is looking to be scrapped, or used as spare parts for Cyborg Cyberspin, which is way more likely than the original rumor. As for Batman though, it's looking like it's still remaining on that same track of fate, and will be leaving the park soon. Or will it? The brand new teasers created by Jeffrey Sabre are definitely changing everything up, and it's making this guessing game way more confusing. So before we start theorizing, let's take a look at the brand new teasers. To refresh everybody's memories, the very first batch of teasers started with a poem, and essentially talked about a new attraction, and one attraction leaving the park and going somewhere else, which we all guessed it was Batman the Ride. But as the poem finished up, Jeffrey Sabre said, "Wait, there's more," and started posting some new batch of teasers, starting with clue number 4, which is a secret to everybody, until he later revealed it was clue number 4. There was a brand new logo for Fiesta Texas 2024, with some silver and blue stars, with the caption, "More in store for 24. And while that teaser pretty much gave nothing, we'll get to that one in a bit. Next up, clue number 5, is another will it stay or will it go, with what I predicted, Pandemonium being in the picture. See, the original theory before the whole Batman thing was that Pandemonium was the next coaster to leave the park. After all, it's dated, and it has so much potential. There's way more room in that area, and before Pandemonium was the Joker's Revenge, a typical coaster, but it had a really amazing queue line, and it was highly themed. But with the addition of Pandemonium, the queue line essentially got wasted, and hasn't been used since. But let's say they were to install a new coaster there, knowing Jeffrey Sabre, he's definitely going to utilize that space, and make a highly themed coaster like he always does. But Batman's leaving, right? Therefore Pandemonium has no chance of leaving? Well, not exactly. The Batman the Ride leaving rumor has no basis or fact at all. It's only a rumor. And since there's no official statement that Batman's leaving just yet, it's very possible it might not even leave to begin with. Instead, it could and might be Pandemonium. And honestly, it has a higher chance of leaving, considering its age, and the fact that it's just a basic clone. At least Batman the Ride's unique, and has some theming. But anyways, continuing with the next clues, we have another will it stay or will it go, with Foghorn Leghorn's Barnyard Railway. And it's clear it's only a distraction, since there's not really a lot of space there, and at this point, the attractions most likely to leave are either Pandemonium or Batman. But here's where it gets interesting. The next teaser sparks a new line of teasers called Fiesta Texas History and Math, which basically shows a list of dates starting from 1992 to 2024. And then he eventually updated the lists to cross out random dates and highlight them in red, as well as progressively adding more to the caption, ending it with the most recent teaser saying this: history repeats itself, the sum is greater than the addends, eliminating is key. The solution is simple, do not make it complicated. With the bottom of the list saying question mark plus question mark equals 2024. And not gonna lie, when he posted this teaser, I almost gave up. This is by far the most confusing teaser anyone has ever posted, but I do think we have some important key information that came out of it. For example, history plus math equals 2024. That's pretty obvious. And if you add up all the dates, the total sum equals 4015, which can be very significant in multiple ways. Not to mention, some dates do mean something and could suggest either the manufacturer of the attraction or specific patterns that could repeat for this year. But we'll get to that in a bit. As for the last three teasers, we have a picture of Skyscreamer with will it stay, will it go, or both, which is very interesting. A picture of Wonder Woman saying that this view will never look the same, which is also interesting. And the most recent teaser that possibly leaks the newest edition for Fiesta Texas. In this final teaser, we have Jeffrey Siebert showing off some frames and pictures in the Fiesta Texas office, and the very first photo with Jeffrey Siebert taking a selfie. If you look in the very bottom, there's a picture of a roller coaster track, which the full photo is actually concept art of a premiere Skyrocket II next to Goliath. So what does it all mean? Is the coaster officially leaked out, and is this the new edition of Fiesta Texas? Well, I think it's not that simple. You see, Jeffrey Siebert's a very smart man, and when it comes to cryptic messages, he places emphasis on cryptic. Therefore, he doesn't give any freebies on revealing the new attraction. So why would he build up all these teasers just to reveal the coaster on the corner of a picture? It doesn't fit his MO. And while yes, it's very possible we could get a Skyrocket II for Fiesta Texas, here's some reasons why it's not the coaster. 1. Capacity would be a big deal for Fiesta Texas. This coaster only runs one train, and it only has 2 cars that only fit 12 people. That would be the worst capacity for a park on the rise. Not to mention, it's not that special, and knowing Jeffrey Siebert, he wouldn't install just any clone. He would work to make a coaster very unique to Fiesta Texas. Plus, he also has done very similar tactics of revealing a coaster too soon. When he revealed Dr. Diabolical's cliffhanger, he tricked everyone twice by revealing 2 separate renderings of the dive coaster that ended up not being the coaster at all. And then again with Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster, he revealed 2 separate renderings of the Skyline Kitty coasters, which ended up not being the coaster. So why not do it again, but this time sooner, by leaking a picture of a Skyrocket II, which probably was just an unused concept that never came to fruition. After all, this picture looks very old, and the model looks very dated. So I think we just got scammed.
And scammer gets scammed, buddy. That's what you get.
So what is the new coaster? I bet you're dying to know. Well, actually, putting all the teasers together and making one giant puzzle piece, I think I might have figured it out. And I have 2 separate theories. So let's start with the first one. Let's say Batman the Ride is the attraction that's leaving, because after all, it's most likely to happen with all the teasers pointing at it. You have the poem suggesting an attraction leaving to a new place, which we said was Frontier City. And if you look at the new history and math Fiesta Texas teaser, remember adding up all the numbers equals 4015. And if you say the number slow, you get the phrase 4D15, as in 40 free spin, and Batman the Ride, the 40 free spin, opened in 2015, which is math from the numbers and history from 2015. So yet another reference to Batman leaving. So hypothetically, if Batman left, that leaves a giant hole in the middle of the park. So what's next? Well, while Jeffrey Siebert did tease a Skyrocket II, like I said, it's not likely at all, for multiple reasons. But what if we're on the right track? When Jeffrey Siebert made those fake renderings of Dr. Diabolical's cliffhanger, they were still dive coasters. Sure, it wasn't the exact model that came out, but it was close. And the same applies to the fake renderings of Kid Flash Cosmic Coaster. So what if this is only one original concept of getting a premiere launch coaster for Fiesta Texas, but what's actually going on is a custom premiere coaster that's like a Skyrocket, but it has more capacity and offers some unique experiences, something that will be considered a world's first or never before been seen, which fits the MO of Fiesta Texas and Jeffrey Siebert overall. They always strive to get new additions that no one else has. While this is a very realistic theory and safe theory, it's only my backup, and here's my real one. I think Batman the Ride is not going anywhere. Yes, Frontier City will get a 40 free spin, and it'll most likely be ground up, and here's why. If it's true that Batman the Ride is problematic, why give a problematic coaster to another park, when instead they can just build a new 40 free spin that will not have any issues? Second of all, the Batman theory is just a theory and has no facts. Sure, the teasers might reference Batman the Ride, but it's only referencing a ride that could leave. And Pandemonium has the higher chance compared to any coaster in the park. It's dated, old, and has a lot of potential. Plus, the past years, the park has been working on specific areas of the park. From Crackle Canyon to Rockville, the next section of the park that needs work is the boardwalk. And it looks like they're already starting with them modifying the go-karts, adding paint to Wave Runner, and working on Pirates of the Deep Sea. If all the work is being focused there, it's very possible that to finish it off, they can axe Pandemonium and add a new standout coaster for the area. And if we look again at the new teaser that leaked the Skyrocket II, we see a picture of concept art for the Joker's Revenge, the coaster that used to be in Pandemonium's spot. And in it was only a concept, and that concept looked way better than the actual fruition of the ride, which kind of matched the pattern of ideas that never came to be. The Joker's Revenge concept art looks way better than the actual result, and Pandemonium was such a letdown after that, with zero theming. So why not get a redemption and add a new coaster there that'll add amazing theming and bring a new standout to that area as well as the park. So what's the new coaster? I think it's a new B&M, and two specific B&Ms. The first option is a B&M Mini Hyper. This idea seems to come out of nowhere, but trust me, I have my reasons. First off, if you look at all the roller coasters in Fiesta, Texas, they're missing a Hyper, one that brings in lots of airtime, and one that stands out among the rest. The only other big Hyper we got in Texas is Titanite over Texas, and it's not that special. To get a new, modern B&M Mini Hyper that goes around the park, it'll affect the skyline greatly, and it'll be a new beacon in the park. And speaking of affecting the skyline, remember that teaser of Wonder Woman with the caption at the bottom saying, "This view will never look the same"? What if he wasn't talking about the refurbishments of Wonder Woman, but instead the idea of a coaster actually going behind Wonder Woman, therefore affecting its view? And let me tell you, it's very likely. The coaster's lift hill could be close to the side of the cliff. Then it can drop and go right behind Wonder Woman as well as through Superman. And in normal B&M Hyper fashion, it'll have some amazing airtime hills and maybe some unique elements, with it reaching its turnaround either located by Skyscreamer or the waterfalls behind Skyscreamer. Where do I get this from? Well, remember, Skyscreamer was on the list of will it stare, will it go, but unique to the rest. It said will it stare, will it go, or both. And in order for both to be the answer, that will mean Skyscreamer is going, but not leaving the park. It'll just be moved to a new location, similar to how they moved Slingshot from Crackle Canyon to the boardwalk section. So what if Texas Skyscreamer gets switched over to, let's say, the boardwalk section, either in that empty area behind Hurricane Force 5, or replacing Fireball, which was the very first attraction that was teased to leave, and then in its space, you have enough room to add the supports for the Hyper. And the reason why I said the waterfall is because in another teaser, we have Jeffrey Siebert posing in an empty area in front of the waterfall saying, "Will it stare, will it go?" when it's just a piece of land, and that piece of land is not big enough to hold a new flat ride or anything. So why would he say that? Unless this new coaster adds a support right there, meaning sure that plot of land will leave, but it's enough space to add some supports for a turnaround that'll help with the layout of this B&M Mini Hyper. And then of course, after that turnaround, the coaster will start heading back to the boardwalk area and cross over pathways, which will add an amazing new experience to the park, and a coaster Fiesta Texas desperately needed. Sure, this is an insane idea, but knowing Jeffrey Siebert, he could do it for real, and I would love to see a modern B&M Mini Hyper come to Fiesta Texas. But what about the second option I mentioned? Well, this one's even more far-fetched. But what if it's not a B&M Hyper, but instead a B&M Surf Coaster? Again, absolutely insane, but it is the boardwalk section, and a surf-themed coaster would make a lot of sense. Not to mention, Pipeline the Surf Coaster at SeaWorld Orlando was a massive success, and would bring a unique experience to Fiesta Texas, a coaster with a lot of airtime, which is needed, and it can still do the same layout that'll stretch out into the park. And if you're looking for proof in the teasers, again looking at history and math, there's a total of 4015. And while we did say that could mean 4D15, it might also mean the track length for this coaster. And it wouldn't be far-fetched for a B&M Hyper, considering Goliath at Ronde, another B&M Hyper, has a track length of 4038. Or the other Goliath at over Georgia has a track length of 4480, meaning while it won't be as long as the other two, it's still in the average of a typical B&M Hyper, even if it's not the biggest. Plus, connecting the history portion of it, a lot of people placed importance on the date 1999, which was the year that Fiesta Texas got a major expansion, with 10 new attractions, and one attraction getting shifted over to the boardwalk section. And while I highly doubt that we get 10 new attractions for Fiesta Texas, one thing that could repeat is the attraction moving over to the boardwalk section, which in this case could be Skyscreamer. Hence the teaser saying history repeats itself. And one more nail to the coffin, B&M Hypers tend to go up and down and go back where they came from, repeating the layout. Not to mention, it'll be a new icon in the Boardwalk section, repeating its predecessor, Joker's Revenge. So yeah, it's very likely, and I would not be surprised if Six Flags wanted to invest in a B&M Hyper for Fiesta, Texas, with hopefully, a Giga coming to over Texas. But so far, that's a dream. And as for the coaster's theme, it'll most likely be themed to surfing, or maybe even a retro theme to fit in with Rockville and the Boardwalk. Plus, we might actually know the color palette of the coaster from the previous teaser of more in store for 24, with some weirdly specifically colored stars that were silver, black, and blue. Maybe blue trains, silver track and black support, or black trains, blue track, silver support. It can go either way, and I felt like clue number 4 definitely meant more. Anyway, that's my prediction so far, and at this point it's only a speculation, but we are getting very, very close to the official announcement on August 26th at the FT92 fan event. And if you want to stay updated on the announcement and see more predictions, be sure to like and subscribe and share this video so more people can see the prediction, and maybe even Jeffrey Siebert sees it, which if he does, that'd be amazing. Anyways, thank you for watching. This is JB Thrills signing out.